signals they will do to ensure that all of the external control surfaces are working the way they should.
Now, I was watching this yesterday through there's the camera on the nose of that, of the F-16, watching that in the little screen where I was sitting.
Yeah.
And Danny, when they arrived, because I was here for their arrival, and obviously it was not very dramatic because the weather was not conducive to coming in. It was very, very cloudy. And they had a swearing-in ceremony, and there was a little ceremony after they arrived here as well. Is that standard practice for them?
We see a lot of that, remembering that they're a recruiting tool for the military. Yes, we see a lot of that, you bet. Quite often it's done on the air show site as well. Was it done out here, or was it another location?
It was done here at Westover.
Okay, even more dramatic.
Yes, it was.
If you were to look, if you were out standing by the nose of one of the airplanes, and you closed one eye, you would see that there would be no space as you look down the nose of the other airplane. One would not be a centimeter off. In other words, one nose wouldn't be disappeared.
Now, as they taxi out, this is part of their pre-flight maneuver?
Yes, they will be taxiing in formation as they fly in formation, and you'll see some very tight clearances. Look at that. Now, you see overlapping wing. Now, that wingman, as he does in the air, is looking at nothing but the leader. The leader will make sure that he doesn't go off the runway. He will start the turn. He will set the speed pace, because if you take your eye off the leader for 1 second, several things could happen. Mm-hmm. One, that you increase the distance from where he is at, and the other one is that you decrease the distance from where he's at, or touch. And if touching is not good.
And if you're in the middle, you don't want to do either one of those.
That's right. A dynamic paint scheme as well. It really lends itself well to the F-16. It is the mythical Thunderbird. Especially as they roll upside down, you'll see it even more graphically expressed.
They told me yesterday, that's not red, white, and blue. That's Thunderbird red, Thunderbird white, Thunderbird blue.
You better believe it.
And I was about to call what they did stunts, but they obviously bristle when you call them that, because they are military maneuvers. They are what pilots do on a regular basis. But what they do does have a certain degree of danger, but really we've not seen very many safety problems in the many air shows that they've performed in.
No, we haven't. They certainly, like our civilian performers, strive to take out any inherent danger. It still lurks there because of the speeds and the proximity, and remembering that they're combat pilots, danger is the environment they're going to live in when they get into a dogfight in the air.
Sure.
But certainly, we don't relish having anything happen to any of our great air show performers, especially in front of a crowd. So I'm telling you, in our business, in the entertainment industry known as air shows, we are working and have we have strived over the years to continue to keep the safety at an all-time high level.
And they do say that that is their number one priority when you ask them, you know, to make sure that everything is done in a safe manner.
I'm staying in constant focus up there, too. I mean, they really can't have any kind of a lapse, because I know just when they allowed me when Major Jim allowed me to take the controls of that yesterday, that's really sensitive aircraft.
Oh, is it ever? Is it ever? You bet. And you want to be on the stick at all times.
Yes.
Yep.
The surprising thing was they let me be on the stick, but...
Were you up there alone in the...
No, Major Jim would every now and then get the courage to say, Dave, the plane's yours. And does the government know the plane is mine? And why would they give it to me in the first place?
If Uncle Sam hears about this, we're all sunk.
But it is, I was really, really amazed at just how sensitive. It's just just a little turn of the wrist. Either way, you know, right, left, back, or forward.
You get motion and movement.
You get big-time motion and movement.
As we used to say, all you have to do is think about it, and it happens. The thought process goes down to your hand and just a little motion left and right.
Well, I found, too, when I would go left, my tendency was to bring it left and back, and which would negate what I was trying to do, that it can either go left, right, front, or back.
Yes.
Not both.
Well, you know, it's your first time. You probably did very well.
Well, we'll let Major Jim be the judge of that.
And you kept your hand off the off of the eject lever.
Well, the eject, that was the other scary part. As you sit there, there's an air vent, and the temperature's about 40 degrees inside the cabin, and the eject lever is right in between your legs by the air vent. And my big fear was that I'd make a mistake. It takes about 40 to 50 pounds of pressure to pull on this thing to eject. And when that thing was, we activated that on the tarmac out here. Sorry, you can activate your ejection seat now. And I was hoping we didn't have to use it, and we didn't.
My sentiments exactly.
Yes, but we're going to take a break as the Thunderbirds taxi out and get ready for their great performance here this afternoon. And you get ready, too. We'll be right back.
You've got the plans drawn in your mind, and you just know how great your house could be. Sometimes Home Sweet Home isn't as sweet as it used to be. Too small, too cramped, sagging here, leaking there. It's time to visit the Loan Center at Altonville Credit Union. We offer home improvement loans to fit your budget and your dreams. There are fixed rate and variable rate loans, and we can tailor one to suit your home improvement project. We're a community credit union, open to everyone.
Finally, a pool store that specializes in fun, not work. Aquarius Pools and Spas on Boston Road will install your custom pool, guaranteeing summer after summer of great fun. Aquarius Pools recommends Baclosil chlorine-free swimming pool sanitizer and Algistat. The knowledgeable sales staff and professional installers at Aquarius are always ready to help with your pool and spa needs. Chlorine-free Baclosil, because owning a pool should be fun, not work. Available at Aquarius Pools and Spas, Boston Road, Wilbraham.
There is a place in New England where runners run the factory that builds the shoes. The only athletic shoe to fully acknowledge that feet come in different widths. Shoes so perfect in fit, so total in comfort, they've come to be known as the shoe for the serious runner. Today, New Balance shoes are worn by all kinds of athletes all over the world, all with one thing in common. They're as demanding of our shoes as we are.
Attention candle lovers, visit our factory outlet open Monday through Saturday 9 to 5 for significant discounts at Main Street Candlery at the Old Hamden Brewery, Willimantic, Chicopee.
Chicopee Provision is home to the world's largest kielbasa and quality kielbasa and cold cuts that are second to none, always made fresh daily. Why not pick some up today?
Hi, join me and my friends for all kinds of fun and pet info every Saturday night at 11:30 right here on News 40. See ya.
You are enjoying same-day coverage of the Great New England Air Show, the first day of this great event at the Westover Air Reserve Base. We hope that what you are viewing here tonight on News 40 will entice you to come down here tomorrow and see it live and in person, because it is a
to
very
bring your
memorable
families
experience.
and your friends and your neighbors and your coworkers. And
oh, yes.
Even your brother-in-law.
It's all free.
It's great. How can you beat that? The greatest pilots in the world, the greatest theme park in the world, a show on the ground before the show in the air all day long with your entire family, out of doors in a picnic environment. I have to tell you, the temperatures are marvelous here. Just great. A nice breeze coming out over the field. Not too hot. The humidity is in control. What a great weekend for an air show. You need to be here if you're not.
I've got to guess, Beth. We saw the crowd that it's got to be 500,000 people up.
Wow, I am terrible with guessing numbers, but I know that they are going to use a counter this year. They said they wanted to have an accurate head count.
Counting cars.
Yeah, and they also had anticipated that Sunday would be the big day for attendance. But I tell you, from the moment I got here, the crowds have been immense.
They started early, yeah.
Yes, people came early. They wanted to be here for all of the show. There are a tremendous amount of static exhibits that are here as well, so people have lots to do as they roam around and wait for the different performances before they head up to the sky. And of course, we're all waiting for the Thunderbirds to perform. That's the big moment that's just really minutes away, I think.
And they're holding pretty tight to schedule, too.
Oh, they will, yes. A couple of things you brought up may sound a little funny about counting cars. Our parent organization, the International Council of Air Show, has found that it's a far more precise way to estimate crowds than any other.
Doing that.
And the number of people per car has changed over the years. It used to be 2.9 people per automobile. Now it's 3.25. It changed in the last 2 years.
So how do we get that 0.25? Is it That's that quarter.
Well, that's the tough part. That's one we haven't figured out.
I'd hate to be that .25 in the car.
So would I, yeah. They wouldn't bring sandwiches for you.
And of course, this is a military base, and as we've mentioned, there's no admission, but the money that they do make at the concessions here,
It goes right
back
back
in.
to things like morale, welfare, and recreation. And it's the base people not begging money or not asking you for money. They're working for the money that they get for their various activities through the sale of food, beverage, and merchandise items. So you get in the gate free, and they hope to support their great endeavors with the money that you spend on gifts, perhaps, a T-shirt, a Thunderbird T-shirt.
Well, you know, it's worth a trip here just to see the base itself, because, I mean, if you haven't been to the base in 20, 30 years or whatever, I mean, we know what kind of an active, thriving place this was during the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and then when the base was deactivated in the 70s, a lot of the buildings around here kind of fell into disrepair. But this whole area is on its way back. You look at some of the old barracks as you drive in here, and they've turned them into condos, and it really is a beautiful place to consider living. Right here, there's just so many different things, and it's just in a great section of Chicago.
We've seen that around the country with military bases that have been cut back. They are doing some great things with them. Industrial parks, centers for overnight freight forwarders.
Exactly.
The base housing is being occupied by non-military people, and they are revitalizing those areas. It's a great opportunity for people because those homes that are very well constructed are not very expensive. I've got to tell you.
and we talk about the air show, but it is indeed an open house, as you say.
Yes,
it's a chance for folks to come in and see what Westover's all about, and they get a chance, as Danny mentioned earlier, to actually get up close and personal with these planes and to talk to the pilots themselves personally.
And people say, well, you know, what's the cost of it? Well, it's not much, because let's not even talk about the airplanes that are flying. How about the ones on ground display that are not moving in our aviation theme park? You take the number of dollars that you personally spend and you multiply it or divide it into all those airplanes. There's probably 40 airplanes, military and civilian, that you can get up close to and get inside of. If nothing else, just divide the money that you spend into that and say, well, I got to go through a C-5A for 40 cents. You know, it cost me 40 cents. Or prorate it that way. It's a tremendous bargain, a great place for families. And again, it's out of doors. It's with Mother Nature and in just a superb environment. An aviation theme park, shows on the ground, shows in the air. Just we're so proud of it.
Sure. And if you were a part of it, if you were with us today, you got a chance to see Tom Bavacqua, who's out of
Was he driving that?
Yes, that's
the white
Tom.
Bronco. There is a tremendous amount of anticipation for the Thunderbirds that will be hitting the skies momentarily. But Tom Bavacqua is out among the crowd. Let's check in with him now.
And we're continuing our roam on the tarmac here, and we're underneath that C-5A Galaxy. I don't believe this. Pete, check this out. All right, I've never seen anyone underneath an airplane, no less the C-5A Galaxy, the biggest airplane in the world, or the second biggest. What are you doing here, other than keeping cool?
Biggest airplane in the world, yeah. A lot of shade.
Well, I guess you do have a lot of shade. Is it comfortable here?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I like it under here.
I'm sure you do. I'll tell you, you know what, Pete? It is kind of cool under here. You even have some drinks, too. Enjoying yourself?
Oh, funny.
The scenery stinks, though. No comment.
No comment.
All right, good. Now, listen, enjoy yourself.
Here's Tom wearing one of those great T-shirts, too, blazoned with the F-16 in the back.
That's right. They changed the design of that T-shirt every couple of years, and it's, of course, a poster and the T-shirt. It's a great souvenir.
Yeah, a lot of collectibles being sold here today. Great memorabilia for the 1996 edition of the great New England Air Show.
Beth, one of the other points you brought up, we do document that Sundays are bigger in North America than Saturdays are, and we attribute that to a lot of people still have to work on Saturday. A lot of people are not really, after a week's work, ready to pop out on Saturday. Need a little buffer, a day of rest around the house. So we see about a third more people on Sunday traditionally than we do on Saturday at most shows in North America. So it's a bigger day.
Is there a typical person who goes to an air show?
Well, we hope that everybody is a typical person.
Yeah.
I don't think there is. You see people from all walks of life. That's the great part of it. It's for everybody.
That sounds good. And everybody is here.
Yeah, and as you said, you know, as far as family entertainment, the price is right.
The price is right,
yeah,
and
come on down.
Could be no better way to entertain your entire family, to make sure that everybody's interested, from the 3-year-olds to the 93-year-olds. They're going to love it.
Something for everybody.
Yes, yeah.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more of our coverage in just a moment.
All right,
Oh,
we're going to
but
stay
not
with it
yet.
then. The Thunderbirds have changed our plans as they get ready to take off. Danny, why don't you...
Take it away.
Okay, now here, this is tough. Look at this formation takeoff. Now, they're not just taxiing in formation, or flying in formation. This is difficult on the takeoff roll.
How close are they?
They are about 36 inches apart. Now watch, the right airplane is going to go into the diamond position on the takeoff roll. Look at the nose of the number 4 ship and the right after the takeoff roll, that number 4 position slid over and got into the turbulence of the wingman and the leader. That's a very delicate maneuver. He did it immediately after they were airborne as the landing gear was coming up.
Now, that's different from watching it on the ground, Danny, realizing that's how I got up there yesterday.
Yes, that's right. Now, as the 4-ship element is going to depart, the single ship elements will take off solo. There's the first one of the solo ships. That diamond will be part of the formation. The solos will stay out and do the opposing work, and later they will form up themselves, the solo operators, as he does a slow roll on takeoff. We can feel our platform tremble beneath our feet. I can feel the afterburner in my chest cavity, and I've been to thousands of these shows. I still get a kick out of this. I am at the place I want to be.
Well,
Okay.
you know, the thing is, you don't feel that much inside that cabin?
No, you can feel it on the ground. There's number 6 ship yanking it back into a very high angle of attack. That is raw power.
How many G's do you pull it there?
Well, because of its slow speed, it's probably about a 2G pull, I'm guessing. The higher the speed, the more G's you're going to pull to get the same effect or the same vertical maneuver. Now, while the 2 solos are departing, that 4 ship or the diamond element will be coming back in. Now remember the speeds of these airplanes and the fact that it is their goal to have either a solo, both solos, or the diamond in front of you at all times. That means that everybody is always working at coming back in. Coming back into where? Well, coming back into the stage, the sky, in front of the air show audience. So that's choreography in itself, and that doesn't stay the same year after year.
And
each new commander of the team is allowed to re-choreograph to allow for the best maneuvers.
And it is amazing how you can lose sight of them for just a moment, and then in a matter of seconds, they are right on the scene screaming overhead.
You better believe it. Now again, look at the tight formation. This is so intimidating to get close to another airplane, this close, and to hang in there. Now, in flight, it looks like they're glued together, held together by a piece of wire. The sensation you don't get on the ground is there is a constant adjustment inside the cockpit to stay on the lead. Your throttle is always moving back and forth. The ailerons are always moving back and forth. You're always doing a rudder dance and an elevator dance because nothing stays the same. So there's constant adjustments, always working in. You may drift out a couple of inches, you work back in. Each wingman is looking at a target spot, perhaps an insignia or a rivet on the leader's fuselage. He will always endeavor to move in on a specific angle on that rivet. If he gets after the rivet, he moves forward a little bit. He may get a little forward, he moves aft a little bit. It's work, I'll guarantee it.
What is the greatest difficulty for them in the air at this moment?
Well,
Just staying in formation?
It would be hard to say. The leader has a tremendous job. It is no free ride as well because he's got to think not just himself, the reaction time, the quarter-second delay between the time he moves the stick and the wingmen see his movement and react to it. So he's got to slow down everything he does. He's got to think wingman, 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 wingman. Because no matter how good they are, there is a delay from the time they see his reaction. Remember, they're not looking at the ground. They're not looking at their instruments. They are looking at his ship. They are trusting him to be the direction, the altitude, and the speed. And as you get closer to the ground, you know you're getting closer to the ground. The tendency would be to take a peek. Don't do it.
You aren't going to miss
don't do it.
We're going to take a little break. You won't miss any of the Thunderbirds.
We'll
Stay
take
right
a
with
peek
us.
later.
Yeah,
all right.
trust
Okay,
us.
okay.
In a world that is forever changing, the age-old craft of candle making continues at Main Street Candlery. Our factory outlet gift shop offers significant discounts on over 48 heavenly scents. Our handmade candles are sure to respond to your every mood. Visit Main Street Candlery Factory Outlet, located in the Old Hamden Brewery, 40 Buckley Boulevard in the Willimantic section of Chicopee.
Maybe they'll get to your little brother or sister, or maybe they'll get to the kid down the block. But one thing's perfectly clear to me. The tobacco companies are after children. Why? Because tobacco companies know that 90% of smokers start as children before they know better. I'm Victor Crawford. I was a tobacco lobbyist for 5 years, so I know how tobacco companies work. I lied. And I'm sorry.
This is a News 40 live local update.
We are live on News 40 at 10:05. Here's what's happening. You just may be able to beat the lines at the Registry of Motor Vehicles. We'll tell you how. A memorial tonight for a West Springfield woman, a victim of domestic violence. Tonight's gathering is an effort at awareness. Also coming up at 11, some news about pesticides and a new way to fight drug addiction. Stay tuned for the Nightcast.
You know, when I make a sandwich, I'm always in a hurry. But it's just not a sandwich without the right bread. Shmura's Bakery rye bread is unlike any other. It's made from natural cultures that take 8 hours to ferment, which is a whole lot longer than it takes me to make a sandwich. Shmura's also has a great line of pastries and 3 full-time cake decorators who will custom design a cake for any occasion. Shmura's Bakery. They bake their bread the old-fashioned way. Quality since 1902.
Priscilla Ress on your side on News 40 at 6.
You're watching a live performance of the F-16 Falcon Jet, the Thunderbirds, the headliners at this year's great edition, or 96th edition of the Great New England Air Show.
Well, it's a great edition, too.
It's true.
Beth, I'm excited, too. Yeah. We're excited. It shows. This is great. Well, you know, since the fall of the Soviet Empire and the beginning of what we know as the Confederation of Independent States, we have some things happening that we never thought would. We have Soviet communist pilots, which used to be called communist pilots, flying their Top Gun jets in and between our shores. They've been at a lot of air shows, the great Ukrainian pilots and the Soviet pilots, bringing in the Sukhoi 27 and the MiG-29s, their Top Gun jets. And we've created some great friendships. And to the pilot of those Top Gun jets, I've asked each and every one of them, slowly I'd say, well, of Top Gun jets, F-14, 15, F-18, F-16, which one do you like? Each one it says F-16.
F-16.
Very bad.
Really?
Very bad means very good. It means he doesn't want him on his tail.
Yeah.
They love the F-16. Again, you get a small jet. It is nimble. It's great as an air combat dog-fighting airplane. It has performance. It has acceleration, and that's why they're fearful of getting in with an F-16 in a dogfight. It's the one that they all pay attention to the most, or did when they were against us.
You know, you're talking about the Russians, where are they now as far as the technology? I mean, it was always, you know...
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. Since their pilots and their airplanes came to our shores, prior to that time we said, oh, the Sukhois and the MiGs will never be as good as our F-16s or F-18s or F-14s. Well, I'm telling you, we have a brand new respect for their aerodynamic and aeronautical engineers, as well as their pilots. They took a lower budget, substandard equipment, but they made it work. They didn't have dollars to throw at a fighter. I have so much respect for those people, and we have seen their Sukhoi and MiG pilots fly, and I can tell you they're skilled individuals. The great thing about it, when they're sitting in a room with our American pilots or the great Canadian pilots or any pilots from around the world that used to be shooting at one another, you see one thing, an aviator's eyes, the gleam in their eyes. As they have a language problem, they talk with their hands. And you know there's a common bond. It doesn't matter that they used to shoot at one another. Now we're not. I see that with World War II combat pilots, too, with German pilots and Canadian pilots and American pilots. It's all forgotten.
They have that bond.
It's in the past. It's in the bond. I had a job. My country told me to go try to shoot you. And you had a job. Your country told you to go try to shoot me. That's what we did then. We're not now. We're friends. We're one thing. We're basic line. Common denominator. We are aviators. And that transgresses any bureaucratic stuff out there. Okay, now as the team continues to fly their displays, you'll see that formation change at times. Out of the diamond into fingertip formation or line abreast. Now, just like civilians, you're watching a smoke trail out behind the F-16s. That's a special petroleum product that is selected by the cockpit, by the pilot in the cockpit. It goes into the exhaust and it actually vaporizes. It doesn't burn, and that's the reason it's white and not dark.
And they're just fresh off of their performance at the opening ceremonies for the Olympics.
That's right. They've been very busy individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah. They get to, if travel is your forte, you should be a Thunderbird.
Well, you look at their schedule. They really go from March until November. It's weekend after weekend, but it's not just the weekend performance. And I say they'll leave here tomorrow, actually probably Monday morning, and go back to Nevada, and they'll go over what they did here, what they did right, what they did wrong. Maybe take a day's break, although they are going on they take a mid-season break, I guess. Then they'll be back on the road through November.
It will go by very fast. There's some of the great solo work. Look at that mirror pass. One airplane is upside down. The other one is right side up, as indicated by the rudder post.
That has to be disorienting for the pilot.
Well, again, it is for a new pilot, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you are with it. Yes, when the Earth goes upside down, you have a tendency to say, wait, I don't like this, because the G load changes too, from a positive G that keeps us all in our seats to a negative G that tries to get you away from the airplane, and you say, let me just hang on to this baby and find me some structure here so that I don't float.
Well, interestingly enough, on the number 5 plane, the 5 is upside down, so we know which plane is flying upside down.
That's right. Like civilian pilots, when they get into the cockpit, in order not to move sideways or up and down, they get in and cinch up a multiple set of seat belts. Then what you do is stretch. You inhale as much as you can. You move around and try to stretch the seat belts. Then you hunker down in the seat, exhale, and tighten them up even more. You don't want to move in the cockpit of an F-16 or an airplane like the Iron Eagles or Mike Goulian's. You want to stay right with that airplane in that seat. You don't want any distance between your behind and the seat.
And they do. You are strapped in there.
You're
from
tight.
In
fact, most pilots will be kind of crouched because you force your shoulders down. You will get welts in your shoulder blades where the straps come around and actually dig in.
Well, plus when you put that G-suit on, that's tight enough where they fit you into it, where you're hunched over. You can't stand up straight even if you wanted to.
That's right.
But he did take me, Major Jim Harder yesterday when we were flying, did do one of those, the ellipse, so I could be weightless.
Okay, you did a little bit of float. You did what they do in space.
Yes,
weightlessness.
We didn't have the video camera up there. The technology we talk about, of course, it's the video camera that died.
Whoa!
About 15 minutes into the flight, but where my glove floated, it was great.
Gotta love the roar of those engines.
Yeah, and that again transmits down to the ground, and you can feel it in your rib cage as the afterburner's going. There's another great formation change. Now remember, the leader is looking at nothing but blue when he points straight up. So he, in order to get a visual reference, starts to look left and right out the canopy. You're then referencing the horizon, because with nothing but blue, where are you? If everything is blue, so you got to find that horizon and make all your movements from that horizon.
Now, is that visually, or is he doing it off his
No, he will do it outside. He may be picking up some of the... he's mostly outside the airplane, as all the pilots are. He may peek inside to get an idea of speed on some of the looping maneuvers to make sure they have the altitude and the speed they need, and report it down to his guys. We've got 6,000 feet, 160 knots.
Can they tell by feel, without looking at their instruments, how fast they're going?
No. At certain times you can. At the slower speeds, at the higher speeds, no. It's...
I had an opportunity to speak with Colonel Mum, who's the commander of the Thunderbirds, and I asked him about, the heat, and he says, yes, there is air conditioning, but it gets very hot underneath that glass as you're performing.
The greenhouse effect is what it's called. Yeah. Plus, adrenaline produces heat, too. You just get boiled, man, because you're excited. You're right on the edge. Well, and it's an athletic event, as I mentioned, with great pilots like Bill Gordon and Billy Segala and Mike Goulian. You're sitting down, but it's no free ride.
Yeah.
You know? Our civilians will talk to us mid-performance from the air down to the ground and give a greeting to the crowd. They're short of breath.
Yeah.
People say, well, why was he breathing so hard? I said, it's tough up there. It's like a decathlon event. He's under a lot of strain, and you can hear him take deep breaths of air.
Yeah.
Well, they mentioned to me yesterday that the temperature in the cabin I was in yesterday was about 45 to 50, and I was still sweating. Of course.
Oh, you will. Yeah. Yes, you will.
Certainly is a test of endurance, that is
There was
for
a
sure.
great test there, a formation roll. That's tough to do. The reason being, somebody is on the inside of that formation at a slower speed, and somebody else is on the outside of that formation at a faster speed.
All right, as the Thunderbirds move out of sight, we're going to move on to a break and be right back.
There's an exciting, rewarding career opportunity awaiting you at East Coast Aerotech, New England's oldest aerotech school. Our campus is conveniently located on the flight line at Hanscom Field, one of New England's busiest airports. Now is the time to enroll and become an aviation technician. You'll have the skills now in demand by the aviation industry, and you'll receive hands-on airframe and power plant training with top flight professional instructors. Financial assistance is available for those who qualify. East Coast Aerotech offers job placement assistance at major airlines, aircraft manufacturers, municipal airports, and high-tech companies. Call now, 1-800-292-3228.
Volvo Cars of North America announces Fathers & Sons Volvo is #1 in customer satisfaction in all of Massachusetts and Connecticut in 1995. And once again, Fathers & Sons Volvo has been named a Volvo Dealer of Excellence for 1995. The only area dealer to win this prestigious award 2 years in a row. Call today for an appointment to see why a Fathers & Sons Volvo should be your choice and how surprisingly affordable a new Volvo can be. Fathers & Sons Volvo, every bit the difference.
For 75 years now, we at the Polish National Credit Union have been providing friendly, convenient, and low-cost services to our members. Isn't it time you became a member?
Polish National honors former board member Anthony J. Stonina, recognized as the father of Westover Air Reserve Base.
Come join our organization. We've been your community credit union since 1921. Polish National Credit Union makes local lending decisions. Polish National Credit Union. We've been tested by time.
Chicopee Glass and Mirror, a world of elegance. Transform an ordinary mirror into an extraordinary work of art. We specialize in all types of decorative glass. Let our professional glass shop and glass artists personalize your home with a custom-designed glass door for your cabinet or shower. Select from a unique collection of gift items. Plus, Chicopee Glass and Mirror also carries a large selection of ready-made picture frames in addition to custom-made frames. Chicopee Glass and Mirror, Front Street, your one-stop for giftware, custom glass, mirror work, and picture framing.
We're back with our coverage of the Great New England Air Show. The Thunderbirds are already in the sky, and we've been following their performance, and they are incredible, all that they were built.
No one is left.
Look at this demonstration of slow-speed maneuverability. Everything is hanging out, the flaps and the gear. He's rolling it up to 90 degrees right on the wingtip at minimum control speed, showing you that at minimum speed you still have tremendous agility. That is a mark of some superb aeronautical engineers.
Danny, they probably had to clear out quite a bit of airspace around here with Bradley International and Barnes and
yes, they do.
For this show.
They set up what's called a NOTAM. It's a Notices to Airmen, and they either reroute airline traffic during that time period in order to accommodate the circumference needed by a team like the Thunderbirds on their radius of turn, 5 miles. 5 miles. 5 miles radius of turn action, yeah.
And as I was driving here, you did see the flashing signs warning that there would be low-flying aircraft because people do have a tendency to want to look up when they're on the road. Not a good thing to do.
It's the worst thing you can do.
Well, the Mass Pike's not far from here either.
Yeah.
So you can see that.
Yeah. The other phenomena, as the jets fly over at rather low and in afterburner, if you were out in the parking lot, it would set off 1,000 burglar alarms, car alarms. Yes, it does. We laugh about it. It's so funny. You can hear them in the background. It's just great. And they calm down after a while, but it will set them off. I guess it's the vibration, the noise, or whatever. Sure. But it'll kick off a down and dirty.
And I suppose anyone who lives around here is used to the sounds of planes coming in and out. But
now this should be the high-speed, low-speed pass. I'm not sure, but they should be passed up. Yep, right there.
Whoa.
right at Air Show Center. They were at minimum speed. From about 5 miles away, one of the Solos came in at maximum speed and passed them right at Air Show Center. Now, that's tremendous planning. Now, believe me, that did not happen by accident. That was well calculated, and it is difficult to do. Speed difference there was probably, let me see, probably 500 miles per hour speed difference, somewhere in there.
Now, Danny, how far out are they going when they do these maneuvers?
Well, again, they try to stay in that 5-mile radius of
5
action.
miles,
Yeah,
okay.
their IP points are out there about 5 miles.
Now, is the leader calling out commands?
Yes, the leader is constantly on a specified frequency, and he is not talking much, but when he tells you something, he is giving the Solos a cue that here is the formation, and that means the Solos are cleared to go in. So there's not a lot of chatter. There doesn't need to be, but when he says something, it's a good signal.
What if one of the pilots gets sick?
In the air?
Not in the air, but on the ground. There's all. They're all. We talked about backup planes, but backup pilots too.
No.
No.
That doesn't happen that way. They would go out with a 5-ship,
So
and the Solo would be that, not an opposing Solo, but strictly a Solo.
Okay.
And the same thing if a primary airplane was rendered unserviceable, the backup airplane had to have the same problem, and it has happened. They would go up with a 5-ship.
All right.
Yeah.
And I know they fly at a lot of different venues, and they didn't have the best weather when they came here, so there wasn't really a whole lot of an opportunity for them to practice. Is that difficult for them? Because I imagine every air base has to have
every air base is different, and they do go out. Now, here's where your avionics package helps you out. You go out and get a radio signal on an IP point that you can look at on a digital and say, okay, I'm 2 miles from there, 1 mile from there. Okay, I start my turn now, and I'm turning in from that point that I can see on my instrument panel. Okay, in the event the visibility is bad, you're also going so fast, it's hard to say, well, was that the hill or mountain I was supposed to be over, or is it another one? So their IP points are done electronically, and that helps them a lot.
I would suppose, too, I've lived here all of my life, and flying up the Connecticut River, I thought we were. I knew we flew back by the Connecticut River, trying to pick things out. And when they come in, they'll identify certain things into an area here.
Yes, they will.
It's got to be tough going into a different area all the time.
Oh, it's murder. It's absolute murder because of the speeds they're going. It's tough enough for a civilian to work out a new stage.
Yeah.
But at the speed these gentlemen are going, it's a very big factor. It is a very big part of their act, is that planning before the performance on where those IP points are.
These guys are a different breed, aren't they?
Well, I got to tell you that basically, first and foremost, they're aviators, and they're doing what aviators love. By being a different breed, well, I guess you're looking at another form of an Olympic champ, because they are the best of the best, aren't they? And if you differentiate between different being better than a lot of others, I guess they
and
are.
I meant that very positive.
I know you did. I know it was a compliment, but
Yeah.
there's the difference right there. I took it just exactly the way you brought it up. It's a good question, but they are the best of the best, and they proved it because they are Thunderbirds.
And almost all of them are in their mid to late 30s.
Yes.
Not too many of them you see going beyond 40.
No, that's the time that you get your opportunity, and from there you're going to work on your promotions after that. And
but it is, up there, the feeling of, just taking the controls of a machine like that, being in control of something like that, just the power they must feel.
It's great to, and when you talk to them, we've got a ex-Thunderbird on one of our civilian aerobatic teams. His name is Bert Nelson. He was a Thunderbird for many years, and he says, just to be given the responsibility of this multi-million-dollar jet, to be able to responsibly take it wherever we want as the team, it's an awesome feeling that most people won't get, and we don't take it lightly.
No, they don't.
We're appreciative of it. Look at this. Now, this is another, again, very difficult. Line abreast or wingtip to wingtip as one of the Solos peel out. Line abreast is difficult. Consider yourself in your car or truck. You're going down the highway. When you're looking ahead or at a slight angle in front of you, driving is pretty easy. As you look over your shoulder, what happens to the steering wheel? It goes the direction you're looking. That's what line abreast is difficult, because you're looking directly over your shoulder into the cockpit of your boss, the leader. and there is a tendency to go in that direction. You've got to curtail that tendency in line abreast flight, or else, again, that nasty touching that we hate so much in the air.
Now I understand why they had me go up by myself. For some idiotic reason, I thought, oh, we're all going to go up. Don't ask me why.
When I mentioned before, were you up there alone, I didn't mean the cockpit environment. I meant the outside air environment.
Yeah.
Were you alone?
You were there alone.
We had a lot of airspace. Now look at this maneuver. This is murder. This is a 6 to 8G sustained 360-degree turn. This will give you the highest option to black out. If you're riding in here, it takes all the strength in the world just to hold your head up. It's grueling. It's not a momentary G load. It is a sustained G load. Your head wants to start ducking down. You've got to physically hold it up. It takes work. To move the throttle, to move the stick, is 8 times as hard as it would have been just to move your hand. It's grueling.
It really is. For people who haven't experienced it, it's an incredible feeling. You can't move your head, and you can't move your arms. And, they graciously, I mean, after I got a little ill yesterday, we were talking, he asked me if I was ready for the 9G.
Oh, yeah.
I said, no, I don't think so.
All right, now here's how our spectators can equate to this. If you were in the airplane and you were sitting, it sounds ridiculous, sitting on a bathroom scale, and you could see the meter or how much you weighed, straight and level, you would weigh your weight. As you got into this high G pull, sustained pull, you would see the weight go up. You could effectively weigh 1,200 pounds. That's the G-force putting you down in your seat. Well, that's grueling. It hurts. And just to lift your arm, you need 8 times as much strength as you do day in and day out. That's the world they live in. That's why it's so tough and so grueling and so hard and so much physical work. And that's why you can be short of breath even though you're sitting down.
You're saying, too, that they're finding that over a sustained period of time, fighter pilots are feeling the effects of the G-forces?
I talked to Pete Conrad, NASA astronaut, about this, and they are trying to study post-flight G experience. They could never figure out why a half a day later, a day later, minutes later, a pilot would get out of his airplane, walk to a place, sit down, and then collapse. Some post-G syndrome. They couldn't figure out what it was before, but they're studying more of it now at NASA. Yes, they're experienced at taking the load, but that day, for some reason, it didn't work.
Wow.
So they're looking at it. Always happens after the flight environment.
That is amazing, and we had mentioned to it because I was exhausted.
Oh,
last
yes,
night.
yes, and probably dehydrated. Did you drink a lot of water afterwards?
I did. But it was a strange feeling. You know, a feeling that I didn't feel bad, but I didn't feel right. And that explains it.
Yes, and there's the tolerance we talked about. The reason for practice for both a civilian and military individual or a team is that G tolerance. You build up an immunity to it, just like you do build up immunity to diseases. Sure.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Cigarette advertising might lead you to believe that smoking is sophisticated.
That cigarettes make you attractive. That they make you popular.
That somehow you can express yourself by smoking.
But we've done all those things without cigarettes, along with some things cigarettes could never claim to do.
Having the strength to do what you want. Now that's beautiful.
Chicopee Provision is home to the world's largest kielbasa and quality kielbasa and cold cuts that are second to none, always made fresh daily. Why not pick some up today?
Attention candle lovers, visit our factory outlet open Monday through Saturday 9 to 5 for significant discounts at Main Street Candlery at the Old Hamden Brewery, Willimantic, Chicopee.
Hi, join me and my friends for all kinds of fun and pet info every Saturday night at 11:30 right here on News 40. See ya.
You know, when I make a sandwich, I'm always in a hurry. But it's just not a sandwich without the right bread. Shmura's bakery rye bread is unlike any other. It's made from natural cultures that take 8 hours to ferment, which is a whole lot longer than it takes me to make a sandwich. Shmura's also has a great line of pastries and 3 full-time cake decorators who will custom design a cake for any occasion. Shmura's Bakery. They bake their bread the old-fashioned way. Quality since 1902. You know, when I make a sandwich, I'm always in a hurry. But it's just not a sandwich without the right bread. Shmura's bakery rye bread is unlike any other. It's made from natural cultures that take 8 hours to ferment, which is a whole lot longer than it takes me to make a sandwich. Shmura's also has a great line of pastries and 3 full-time cake decorators who will custom design a cake for any occasion. Shmura's Bakery. They bake their bread the old-fashioned way. Quality since 1902.
Finally, a pool store that specializes in fun, not work. Aquarius Pools and Spas on Boston Road will install your custom pool, guaranteeing summer after summer of great fun. Aquarius Pools recommends Backwasil chlorine-free swimming pool sanitizer and Algistat. The knowledgeable sales staff and professional installers at Aquarius are always ready to help with your pool and spa needs. Chlorine-free Backwasil, because owning a pool should be fun, not work. Available at Aquarius Pools and Spas, Boston Road, Wilbraham.
If you could have any camcorder in the world, I'll bet it would be a Sony, like this Vision Series model with the LCD TV screen. Neat, huh? Like an extra TV. Nobody but Sony offers 5-hour recording on one battery and 5-hour cassette. Yep, you can get it all on one tape. Bernie's has a fantastic selection of Sony camcorders at low prices that are guaranteed for 1 year. Right now, buy a selected model and get this $70 Sony Sports Radio Cassette Walkman free. Now, believe me, this is a good deal, but you'll have to come to Bernie's to get it.
You are looking at live pictures of the Thunderbirds performing here at the Westover Air Reserve Base, part of the Great New England Air Show.
Makes me want to go up again. Really does. It's
Oh, lay it on us, would you?
it really, and I know I'm never going to
I've got
get
to get out of
strangle
here.
him by the time
You
the
have to
show's
work
over.
with him, but I can leave town.
It really to see that all over again. I see that when I watch golf on TV or whatever. Of course, it's easier to go out and golf the next day, but realizing what a great opportunity I had.
Well, in all honesty, Dave, your life will never be the same. Really, it won't. You've done something that millions can't or won't do. And again, I want to say this. I mentioned to you before, when the Blues or the Thunderbirds come into a town, they pick effective media because they can't give that many rides, but it has to be an effective ride. To be able to be chosen by the Blues or the Thunderbirds to be that person means that you do a lot for the community, and you will be effective at getting their message across. And I want to congratulate you, Dave Mattson, on being the man who was selected. It is not something where we throw names into a hat. They looked at the most effective way to get their message across, and you got it.
And speaking of the media, we've seen folks from the Boston stations, from New Haven, a lot of cable stations, more from Springfield. So they're getting tremendous media exposure for this event.
And of course that, along with the show, and helping out the great volunteers and promoting aviation and recruiting, are what we are all about in air shows.
Is this probably the best recruiting tool the military can have? Something like this where you just come in and you feel good about the whole day?
Well, let's say you see a great performance by the Thunderbirds like we have today, and you look at the discipline of their ground crewmen, and you look at their sharp uniforms, and you say, you know, I'd like to be a part of that. Maybe not a pilot, but I sure like to work on cars or trucks. Maybe I could work on an airplane. Maybe I could be a licensed technician on an F-16. Yes, it is a very, very useful tool.
And while they were here, the pilots did go to the Shriners Children's Hospital, and they go to schools in the area to give that positive message.
We do a lot of work with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, a tremendous amount of work. We bring children into it. We bring in children that maybe won't be around next year, let me put it that way, too. So it's not strictly for recruiting. It's to give some kids who don't have the fortunate good health that we have their last wish.
You're right. I mean, Beth, that they don't come in here and just relax and have a good time. This is full-time work, and the public relations aspect of it. I heard the kids at Shriners and Brightside yesterday were just absolutely thrilled to see these guys.
Yeah.
And the thing is they look the part. It's not just like somebody walking in there and saying, well, who's that? You know who they are and what they do.
Oh, they're Thunderbirds.
The way they carry themselves.
Yes,
They are chosen.
And the thing is from the pilot to the flight crew, they all carry themselves in the same way.
Yes, they are a grand group, and they deserve a tremendous amount of credit. Nobody gets on the team by accident.
No, I
Nobody.
can imagine.
Yes, that's right. Well, the F-16, believe it or not, some 21 years old this year. We're looking for a next-generation fighter jet, and there was a competition, a fly-off, as it's called, between the Northrop YF-17 and this F-16. And after the competition, the F-16 was the winner, and the winner gets to go in production, so to speak. And gosh, can you believe that was 1976, the first one came off the assembly line. So we're looking at 1975, a 21-year-old Top Gun jet.
And they're still in production?
Yes, still. Well, here's what happens. The great people of Fort Worth, for the last 5 years ago, or so, 5 years or so, have been looking at the end of the F-16 production line. We go back there for a show every year, so I get to visit with those people. Just when they think the line is going to shut down, another country orders what we call a batch of 16 or 36. Another 4 years of work for the great people at General Dynamics, now Lockheed General Dynamics. Some very dedicated people. And then another order from the United States Air Force. The line stays going. People stay employed. And it's a dynamic airplane that will be in demand around the world for a long time to come. Even though at times it appears that we may not have jobs here in Fort Worth pretty soon, a lot of great things have happened to those people, and they are going to, we're told now, another 5 years they will be guaranteed to be working in production.
Now, is there technology that we don't sell? Are these not loaded, fully loaded aircraft?
We are, yeah, with the one without the AM/FM stereo.
That's right, yeah.
The stealth technology?
And the burglar alarm. Well, certainly you're going to keep a fighter for you and your very closest allies. This airplane has been distributed to the countries of Bahrain, Belgium, Denmark, Egypt, Greece, Indonesia, Israel, the Netherlands use it, Norway, Pakistan, Singapore, South Korea, Thailand, Turkey, of course the U.S., and Venezuela. So we have a pretty wide customer list on this airplane.
I know one of the biggest fears when the Soviet Union broke apart, and we still hear this fear today as far as them trying to make money for the new country of Russia and the other satellite countries, is selling off all of their technology to countries that we really don't want to have with this technology.
Yes, as we're fond of saying in Russia, everything is for sale.
Yeah.
Believe me, it is. That is a problem. That can be a problem. And they, of course, have to make a living, too, over there. They're into some very tough times. So it could happen. That's why we always have to stay on the leading edge. Right now we have airplanes that are quantum leap over the F-16, although the F-16 is still state-of-the-art. But we have airplanes in development that we're looking at that we'll always make sure that we're okay. Let me put it that way. We're the fastest gun in town.
That's good.
Yes.
On that note, we'll take a short break.
More than half a century ago, we started as a little neighborhood financial organization. But as your needs got bigger, so did we, and we're still growing. Today, thousands of people rely on Aldenville Credit Union to help meet their financial goals. Life can sometimes be a bumpy journey, and we're there to help smooth out your ride with low-interest loans and a whole array of banking services. We're a community credit union open to everyone and growing for everyone.
Chicopee Provision is home to the world's largest kielbasa and quality kielbasa and cold cuts that are second to none, always made fresh daily. Why not pick some up today?
Have you ever wanted to fly? Now is your chance with Karis Air. Our certified flight instructors will give you the hands-on training you need to obtain your pilot's license. With 11 aircraft for flight training, let us fit your schedule. Right now, an introductory lesson, including a half an hour in flight, is only $39.95. Call Karis Air now at 562-4161. We're open 364 days a year, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Karis Air. Let us teach you a lesson you'll never forget.
Sports Director Mike Witte on News 40, where local sports comes first.
Welcome back to the Great New England Air Show, and the Thunderbirds are just about ready to cap off a spectacular performance.
Oh, yes. And the landing is not a foregone conclusion either. Watch as they come in. We just got a shot there. Maybe on the next one I can explain to you that is a specific technique of landing. Let's watch this one coming in. Here, watch. He lands on the main gear, touches down on the main gear, and deliberately keeps that nose gear off of the runway. That's called aerodynamic braking. It's very effective. Now, these jets, coming in at the speeds they do, if they landed on all three gear, they may skip and actually get light on the gear or maybe even leave the runway. By keeping that nose up, they're throwing a lot of sheet metal against the air, and they are getting air braking. that way. See how he keeps the nose up? He's getting slow down because the air is hitting the bottom of that wing. Now, then in addition to that, he is putting all of the weight on the main gear. He is forcing the weight down to the main gear. That tire will make a wider footprint, and the brakes will be more effective. Otherwise, it could be something like a rock skipping across a pond, you know, when you make a rock bounce several times. Yes, it could do that. They want positive touchdown. They don't want to skip. They don't want to get light on the brakes, and they want the brakes to be as effective as possible. So that is a very effective technique in fighters.
I've flown a lot commercially, not as much as you, but yesterday's touchdown was the smoothest I have ever felt in my life.
And in a fighter, that is very difficult to do, I got to tell you. You work for those smooth landings. We call them greasers. And I'll tell you what, you fly your heart out, and if you don't make a greaser, it's a lousy flight.
Really?
Yeah, you leave the airplane and go to the home or go to the motel, and you kick the dog, you know, and slam the door.
You don't take it back up and try it again.
Well, you can't if it's the boss's airplane. If it's your own, you can, but with the boss, he's got other plans for it. So a good landing is after a great flight, a good landing is such a satisfaction. If you don't bring it in right, you're just so mad at yourself for not doing something you should have done or could have done. And at times, Mother Nature is not going to let you have a good landing anyway, no matter what you do.
So they will all taxi in now, land and taxi in?
Yeah, they'll all taxi back in single file. You'll watch again the discipline of the ground man as they wave them in. And then just as they had a free flight walk up, they will walk down and away from the aircraft again, joining the team leader. And then at the end, they will all do that teamwork thing. They will shake hands, and in a relaxed fashion, at ease, as we call it, they will tell each other, it was great being up there with you.
Yeah, job well done.
Yes.
Now, will they go over everyone involved in this, the flight crew and the pilots themselves?
Mandatory debriefing. In fact, we see it in our civilian aerobatic teams as well. Perhaps not on film, but they will always debrief and say, hey, this we can do better, that we can do better. But most of the professional civilian teams will have somebody filming on the ground.
They will.
Yes, and they'll say, boy, I look bad in that sequence, or we need to tighten that up, or one thing or another. There will be a mandatory debrief, and it will help enhance further performances.
They're always trying to improve
it. Always, yes.
Well, throughout the day, we've seen people milling around because there is a lot to see here. But when the Thunderbirds were performing, all eyes were to the sky.
All eyes to the sky.
Everything stopped.
You can't help it.
No.
That's right. It's great fun.
Well, and I think that's the other thing people think of, too, is it may be just a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be able to see this flying team.
Oh, yes. You bet.
And we have been so fortunate in Western Massachusetts to have so many air shows. We have had the Thunderbirds, we have had the Blue Angels, the Snowbirds. We continue to keep bringing them back to this area.
Danny, how many different teams are there like the Thunderbirds?
Well, most countries that can afford a team have one. Yeah. Now, it may not be in state-of-the-art fighters. They may use trainers. They may be only 4-ship element. But each country knows that it is a patriotic thing to have your military team out there doing displays in front of your citizens and also recruiting. So they will try their darndest to put a team together, even though it may be a turboprop airplane, a 2-place trainer. They do some amazing things with them, and they do some things we can't do with the jets. So they get our attention as well. They come and visit us from time to time. Teams like the Esquadrilha de Fumaça from Brazil, the smoke squadron, great people, and they amaze us. The Italians, the Freche Tricolori.
Yes, they've been here.
Have they ever?
Yes.
There's something to behold. So all these teams, no matter what they fly, have something to offer, and you will find our teams saying, "Hey, wait, excuse me, I want to watch these guys. Watch this thing they do with this airplane."
Pick up a little maneuver here.
Yes, the things we can't do with a jet, perhaps. Look at that, the American flag with that little guy looking up. What a great country we live in. God bless America, and God bless sky dancers. I'll tell you, without them, without air shows,
what would you do, Danny?
What would I do? I'll tell you what, I'd have turned out to be a bum.
Now, Danny, you'd have a very good job in television. That's a guarantee.
Because Danny spends all of his vacation time doing the air show circuit.
This is a vacation.
That's right. You're headed back to Oshkosh when you leave here tonight.
I'm going back to Oshkosh. I'll be announcing there tomorrow morning for the remainder of the 4 or 5 days that we have left there at the world's largest aviation event, and seeing a lot of my colleagues and The Mecca of Aviation, it's called.
We are lucky to have you here with us
Sure
today.
It's been great.
Sure.
You guys are great to work with. I've had a ball.
We aren't done yet.
I know we're not.
No.
I want more fun.
So stick around. We'll be right back.
With 7 Rocky's Ace Hardware stores in 7 different neighborhoods, all of your project needs are right around the corner. And the paint departments at Rocky's have the project helpers. The quality of Ace Paint shows. Interior and exterior Ace Paints have the quality and price that's right for your home project. 7-star flat exterior house paint is just $13.97 a gallon. The paint departments at Rocky's Ace Hardware have helped decorate homes for over 70 years with great price and great advice right in your neighborhood.
Currently, the trucking industry is experiencing a shortage of Class A CDL drivers. If you're interested in learning to drive the big rigs, call United Tractor Trailer School in Chicopee, Massachusetts. At United, we offer small, personalized classes, low student-to-equipment ratio, clean, well-maintained equipment, and experienced qualified instructors. So call 1-800-670-4CDL and let United Tractor Trailer School put you on the road to a new and exciting career.
There is a place in New England where runners run the factory that builds the shoes. The only athletic shoe to fully acknowledge that feet come in different widths. Shoes so perfect in fit, so total in comfort, they've come to be known as the shoe for the serious runner. Today, New Balance shoes are worn by all kinds of athletes all over the world, all with one thing in common. They're as demanding of our shoes as we are.
News 40's exclusive coverage of the 1996 Westover Great New England Air Show continues.
And we are back, and for the past 3.5 hours or so, I think we have been alluding to Dave's great adventure in the wide blue yonder.
Beth, was that him as we led into this segment?
No, that wasn't me.
That looked like you.
Yes, we've nauseated you, probably. But now we'll cap it off by showing it to you. It was about an hour flight that we took off from here. I had a 2-hour briefing in the morning as far as how this was going to work out. Get me all suited up and everything else. This is the last-minute check, as you can hear. I am not Mike Schultz. But, Danny, these are the same maneuvers that we were talking about today.
I know. You saw the ground crewman there. You must have felt wonderful to be in that awesome machine.
There we go. Now, this is ready to take off.
Can we be sure that is you?
That is me. Guaranteed.
Not a stunt double?
No. My evil twin.
I don't know. We can't see those aviator eyes.
You can see the raw flame coming out the rear. The afterburner was on in that takeoff. And look at the world getting smaller.
Yeah, that wasn't me. That was the afterburner.
Okay.
That was an incredible view. He said, take a look behind you.
Okay, now we're going to roll this way.
Here's where the horizon becomes so important because the camera's looking back. You were looking straight up towards the blue.
Yep.
How we approach, Comet?
It was just...
It's beautiful up here.
Breathtaking. Yep.
Pretty impressive on the takeoff, huh? Sure was. Didn't take long, did it? Not at all.
Dave Thunderbird. Yeah.
So you know the taxpayers are buying some good equipment.
Well, I guess so. Yes, we'd like to re-emphasize that.
It is good equipment.
Beth Carroll and I are kicking in on that quite extensively.
We're putting our names on the list.
Also, that's right. Sitting here realizing what stupid things you say when you're in total awe.
Pointing at the ground.
The left wing pointing to the ground?
Yep. And then whenever you release the sticks where it stops. Okay, now just put your hands in the air for a second and let them ride along.
Okay.
You can see when we're not wings level, the nose starts to drop.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to have you
Following?
do next is I'm going to have you take the stick and roll right.
Oh, way to go.
And start pulling back. Keep rolling right, keep pulling back.
6303 Boston Center, Roger.
Okay, keep pulling back.
Holding for
This
you
is not Delta Airlines. Let's roll. Come on. You should feel your G-suit start to inflate.
Yep.
I was really afraid with the joystick. This is some of the initial routines we were doing.
Okay, now we're going to roll to put the right wing toward the ground.
Right again?
Head for the right.
1702.
I want to make sure I double check.
Okay, let's go ahead and let go of the stick.
Okay.
You'll see the nose will just kind of float and it'll gradually just start descending. Look out the back, I got the smoke on.
303.
Here's a nice video for you.
Oh, yeah.
See our trail?
There's where the horizon is so important as a reference.
You're looking good.
Concrete altimeter.
Okay, go ahead and grab the stick.
Okay. Major Jim Harder was
Just
just
start
terrific.
rolling left until we're wings level.
Now that smoke trail behind you is very evident
then
in
you
the
start
clear
pulling back
blue
on the
above
stick.
the clouds. Yeah. It really cleared out. It was a gorgeous day yesterday.
horizon? Yep, so just start pulling back on the stick.
Time to come home.
By the way, Major Jim was flying at this point in time.
Okay, so
I was holding onto my little white bag.
I would take credit for this landing if I were you. You bragged about how smooth it was. We can continue these lives all night. That's right.
He may have blacked out, Danny. That may be why it was so smooth.
I see, Beth. Okay.
Watch this. This was so smooth.
This is tough to do in these type of airplanes. A smooth landing is very difficult.
Oh, there you can see Dave's family there for the big moment.
That's right.
Excited to see Dad.
Yep. That's our pop.
Yes, they invited to take me out to lunch after that, but I politely declined.
Yes.
It was an incredible ride.
Dave Matson, we're so proud of you. This is so great. And again, it's not a ride that's given away to just anybody. They're looking at the most effective person to do the job.
Well, I hope. Well,
congratulations.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Danny.
you.
But they did it themselves. All you have to do is come out here and see them today, and they're the ones that are going to sell themselves. But boy, what a great opportunity it was, and I'll never forget it.
And Danny himself was telling us that he's got a special relationship with the Canadian snowbirds.
Yes.
They surprised me last fall. They had their 25th anniversary party at Moose Jaw, their home base. And they invited all of their friends, all the past snowbird commanders. And we'd hoped that the man who had invented the team, O.B. Phelps, would be there, but he died several months earlier. He was responsible for putting his career on the line to keep the team going when some of the bosses wanted it shut down. And they decided prior to that anniversary meeting that they would honor 2 people a year of their 25 years existence into the exclusive society of honorary snowbirds. And unbeknownst to me and a bunch of other people, we made the cut. We're one of 50 in the world who are honorary snowbirds. It is an honor.
And we are not surprised.
Very honored, and I didn't see it coming. I didn't know it was going to happen. They made it a complete secret, but I broke down.
Well, your love of aviation is clear, and you certainly are incredibly knowledgeable, and we are so grateful that you were able to join us this afternoon to help us with our coverage.
Well, the one thing, when we knew we were going to cover this year, first thing I said is we got to get Danny back, because without Danny...
Right, what do I know about military aircraft?
But to be able, and I think for everyone there, this was the big comment that I heard 2 years ago, and I know we'll hear again this year, was this was like going to school for everybody.
Thank you.
Danny, you made the air show for all of us again, and we appreciate it.
And I must tell you this, you made me feel so much at home the last time. It takes a lot to get me away from Oshkosh.
Yeah.
But here I am. Here I am. Now, I've been there and I'm going back, but here I am. You guys do a wonderful job, very professional, and I felt part of the team, and I do today. It went well, it goes well, and great fun. Thank you, Bess. You're
Another
wonderful.
successful... Oh,
You're a
thank
darling.
you. So
I'll
kind.
shake hands, but don't kiss me.
No way. Not a Top Gun
By
guy
the way,
like you.
you are part of the team.
Thank you very much.
Anytime, and we're
Proud
going
to
to
be a part.
we're going to take a little break.
All right.
And we'll be right back.
In a world that is forever changing, the age-old craft of candle making continues at Main Street Candlery. Our factory outlet gift shop offers significant discounts on over 48 heavenly scents. Our handmade candles are sure to respond to your every mood. Visit Main Street Candlery Factory Outlet, located in the old Hamden Brewery, 40 Buckley Boulevard in the Willimantic section of Chicopee.
You've got the plans drawn in your mind, and you just know how great your house could be. Sometimes Home Sweet Home isn't as sweet as it used to be. Too small, too cramped, sagging here, leaking there. It's time to visit the Loan Center at Aldenville Credit Union. We offer home improvement loans to fit your budget and your dreams. There are fixed rate and variable rate loans, and we can tailor one to suit your home improvement project. We're a community credit union open to everyone.
Chicopee Provision is home to the world's largest kielbasa and quality kielbasa and cold cuts that are second to none, always made fresh daily. Why not pick some up today?
Visit the Smith & Wesson factory store and buy apparel and accessories straight from our factory. Plus, tour our factory by appointment Tuesdays and Thursdays Call 747-3626 for more information. At the Smith & Wesson factory store, you can choose from Smith & Wesson gun accessories, holsters, shooting glasses, ear protection, scope mounts, and more. Put a little bang in your wardrobe with jackets, T-shirts, and caps. The Smith & Wesson factory store, Roosevelt Avenue in Springfield. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
News 40's exclusive coverage of the 1996 Westover Great New England Air Show continues.
Well, as things wind down here tonight, we remind you that there's a full day of the Great New England Air Show here tomorrow at the Westover Air Reserve Base. The gates open at 9 o'clock. Best advice, if it's anything like today, to get here early, because the crowds will be here early, and it'll take you a little time to get in, but the traffic's moving, and you will get in, and you won't miss a thing.
It is well worth the wait. And along with Danny Klishman, who's been helping us with our coverage today, Tom Bavacqua has been out there, and Priscilla Ress as well, roaming around, finding the stories for us. Right now, we're going to check in with Priscilla, who had a chance to talk with one of the jet pilots.
Here I am in the cockpit of an EF-111. I am joined by...
This is Dave Zip Watt, and I'm from Newington, Connecticut.
You are from Newington. All right, take me around the inside of this cockpit a little bit. Give us a tour here.
Okay, we sit side by side. The pilot will sit over here, and he'll basically fly the airplane. I'm an electronic warfare officer, and I fly in the seat that you're in right now. And I run all the the navigational systems.
When you're talking about the navigational systems, what is this that's directly in front of me that will help you navigate this plane?
We run off of global positioning system, off the satellites.
Really?
So although this is a 30-year-old plane, we've got some frontline navigational equipment. This is our radar. Basically, we have a train following radar. So we can fly this on autopilot. Hands off the stick is down as high as 1,000 feet. So if we were flying up to let's say we're flying around at 200 feet, we normally fly at 400 feet. And there was a mountain coming up. The airplane's smart enough with the radar and the electronics to know when to climb and get over the top of the...
The airplane's smart enough. Are you smart enough?
We monitor everything real big time.
So we're not just depending on your equipment. Hey, tell me a little bit about where this plane has been for the past, say, 2 years.
Well, I've been with the plane for 2 years. I moved out to Clovis, New Mexico, which is where all the EF-111s are right now. When I joined the what we call the world-famous Desert Raven Squadron, we've got a squadron over in Dahran, which is where the bombing just took place. We've got another squadron up in Turkey, and basically what we do up in those, we fly in Iraq. We have one detachment that handles. It would be like the no-fly areas in Iraq.
So how many miles do you actually log, maybe per week?
Miles? I fly about 2.5 hours a sortie.
So what does that mean in terms of how much ground do you actually cover in this jet? How fast does this jet go?
We normally fly around at 510 knots, or and then we dash sometimes up to 540, and normally less than the speed of sound. Although this is quite capable of exceeding the sound barrier.
Have you ever had to eject?
No, and I don't want to eject.
Why? When people just sort of see it as if it's sort of with this big, you just sort of float up in the sky. What really happens when you have to eject from a jet?
It's, as it's been described to me, it's very disorienting. If you're away from the ground and you eject, you've got more time. Once you've gotten over the initial sequence of ejection, you got more time to get ready for the shock. I mean, we've got like air mattresses that kind of help take some of the shock, because this is a capsule. There's no ejection.
Where's the eject button?
Okay, there are 2 ejection handles, one here and one here. Either the pilot or the electronic warfare officer can
So I am very close to an ejection button right there.
Yeah, and
you feel comfortable with it.
As long as you don't touch it.
And if I did, what happens? The top just shoots up?
We would shoot up off the ground, and probably the parachute wouldn't get expanded, and we'd probably hit the ground, and we wouldn't be around tomorrow to even see this.
We'd like to be around tomorrow, and we'd like for you to stay around for a long time and hope you never have to eject. Thank you very much. And your message to the people who have come out to see you at the air show?
Well, thanks for coming out, and I hope you all had a great time.
All right, thank you very much. Back to you.
Thanks, Priscilla. Our hats off to all the pilots on the ground who answered a lot of spectators' questions and those in the air who put on one incredible show today.
He's right. You don't want to eject from one of
No,
those
definitely
planes.
not.
I got a crash course in that yesterday, and that was about the last thing I wanted to do.
If you eject, it means there's something terribly wrong with the airplane, and that's
Yes.
not a good sign either.
No, but they better be safe than sorry.
Yes, yes.
Fortunately, we didn't have to, but and I think that's why they're so good at what they do. They're ready for any kind of circumstance.
And as we close up tonight's show, we want to say special thanks to Westover for all the help they gave us in allowing us to bring you coverage of the 1996 edition of the Great New England Air Show.
And especially to our good friend, Mr. Danny Cleisher, for being with us again today. Danny, it's been a pleasure.
Thank
and
you.
You were wonderful.
You
we,
were
wish
wonderful.
you safe.
You're marvelous.
Safe voyage back to Oshkosh.
Thank you very much.
Buy some overalls and wish them well for us.
All right, I will.
Danny, thanks very
Thank
much.
you.
It's good to see you. And
my pleasure.
2 years from now, let's
I'll be
rebook
sitting
it.
right here.
Mark
All
on
right.
the calendar.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Thanks again for joining us. Good
Hope
night.
you've enjoyed the program, and don't forget tomorrow, 9 to 5, the air show, and enjoy it. Good night.
Slap me before I start to rust, before I